In the heart of New Orleans, a young woman would fall into a passion so consuming, so forbidden, that it would blur the lines between longing and obsession, desire and devotion. What happens when lust convinces itself it is love, and the consequences ripple across every life it touches? How far will one woman go to chase an intoxicating illusion before reality crashes down? Disclaimer: this is a dramatic content for awareness and discussion only. Clara Bennett, a 28-year-old ambitious gallery curator, was known for her grace, intelligence, and cautious heart. Yet her meticulously ordered life was about to collide with a man whose charm was undeniable, whose allure was dangerous, and whose very presence threatened to dismantle the careful boundaries she had drawn. The story begins in the French Quarter, where hidden bars and shadowed alleyways held secrets darker than the moonless night. Here, Clara's journey into temptation, heartbreak, and the cruel disguise of lust would begin, and the consequences of misjudged desire would shape her forever. It was during the annual Mardi Gras Gala, with its dizzying array of masks, music, and colored beads, that Clara first saw Damien Leclerc. Tall, impossibly handsome, with a voice that seemed designed to command attention even in a crowded ballroom, Damien exuded danger without warning. Their eyes met across the swirling crowd, and Clara felt a pang of curiosity she had never experienced before, the unmistakable tug of something forbidden. He approached her slowly, each step deliberate, as if drawn by some invisible gravity. "I don't believe we've met," he said, a smooth, velvety tone masking the intensity in his gaze. Clara, composed and wary, allowed herself only a polite smile. Yet her pulse betrayed her, quickening in response to a connection she instinctively knew was dangerous. From that night on, Damien became a presence Clara could not ignore. He was charming, insistent, and unapologetically magnetic. Their encounters started as coincidences: a shared elevator in a historic building, a chance meeting at a cafe. Yet each meeting intensified a desire neither could contain. Clara, despite knowing the boundaries she should maintain, found herself rationalizing each moment, convincing herself that lust masquerading as love could somehow remain harmless. Weeks passed, and Clara's friends noticed subtle changes: lingering glances, whispered phone conversations, and nights she returned home with cheeks flushed and a secret smile. Damien was intoxicating, drawing her deeper into a world of passion that promised escape from the monotony of her carefully curated life. Yet beneath the thrill, a shadow loomed. Damien was not merely a man seeking affection, he was a storm, and Clara was perilously close to being swept away. They began meeting secretly, in dimly lit corners of jazz clubs and quiet apartments, far from prying eyes. The intensity of their encounters, the stolen intimacy, and the seductive thrill of secrecy convinced Clara that what she felt was love, though every rational part of her mind whispered warnings. She had fallen for a man who fed her desires, not her heart. Damien's charm was a mask hiding motives she refused to see, a dangerous game she willingly played. One evening, Damien suggested they escape the city for a weekend in a secluded bayou cabin. Clara hesitated. The notion of leaving everything familiar behind should have sounded alarm bells. But the allure of unrestrained passion and the intoxicating promise of him blinded her. In that moment, she embraced the illusion, believing the tempest of desire to be the same as love. Yet even in the midst of stolen nights, laughter, and fevered touches, the first cracks appeared. Text messages, she noticed, hurried phone calls he answered in shadows, unexplained absences, small, unsettling signs that Damien's interest might not align with her heart. Clara felt unease, a tremor beneath the surface of what she convinced herself was love. But lust is persuasive, and the illusion too potent to resist. By the end of the second night in the bayou cabin, Clara had begun questioning her choices. A knock on the cabin door in the middle of a storm, unexpected, insistent, jolted her from Damien's embrace. Who could be visiting at this isolated time? Her pulse raced, fear and suspicion mingling with desire. Damien's calm smile was unnerving, almost rehearsed, as he opened the door to reveal an envelope addressed to Clara. Inside was a photograph, her laughing with Damien in the gallery, cropped and annotated with cryptic words. The realization hit. Damien's world was not hers. She was a character in a game she didn't fully understand, and the line between lust and manipulation was thinner than she ever imagined. As the storm raged outside, Clara stared at Damien, questions burning in her mind. Was this passion genuine, or had she been blinded by desire? Could love exist when lust dominates, or was she merely a pawn in a dangerous game? Every heartbeat whispered caution, yet her lips parted in silence, craving answers she feared to hear. If this story has captured your intrigue, comment, "Desire blinds the heart." Share this story with anyone who loves emotional, dark romance. Subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVc. Follow for more gripping, forbidden romance tales and turn on the notification bell, because the truth about Damien is coming, and it will change everything. The envelope trembled in Clara's hands as she unfolded the paper inside, her fingers brushing against the photograph over and over as if that motion could anchor her to reality. Damien's eyes followed her every move, a quiet intensity that made her both tremble and ache. The photograph wasn't just a simple capture of a moment. Scribbled beneath it were words that stung like fire. "Everything has a price, Clara." She looked up at him, disbelief mingled with panic. "What is this, Damien? Who sent this?" Her voice quavered despite her attempts at control, the storm outside a mirror of the chaos surging within her. He smiled, a slow, dangerous smile that hinted at secrets he refused to reveal. "I don't know who you're afraid of, Clara, but I promise nothing will hurt you as long as you trust me." Trust. The word hung heavy in the room. Clara wanted desperately to believe him, to hold on to the illusion of love she had convinced herself was real. But doubt clawed at the edges of her mind. Could passion truly shield someone from the consequences of forbidden desire? Or was she simply sinking deeper into a trap cleverly disguised as romance? By morning, the storm had subsided, leaving the world wet and glistening, a fragile calm that contrasted sharply with the tempest that raged inside Clara. She tried to focus on her work at the gallery, but her thoughts kept drifting to Damien, to the dangerous thrill of being near him, to the intoxicating nights spent in his arms, and now to the ominous warning the photograph had brought. Each brush of his hand, each whispered word of affection, felt like a siren song, pulling her further from reason. The following days were a perilous dance. Damien appeared in ways that seemed coincidental. At the gallery during private viewings, lingering near her favorite coffee shop, in the shadows of the city's old streets where no one else ventured. Each encounter was charged with tension, electricity, and the unspoken acknowledgement that they were both walking the edge of something forbidden. Clara's heart raced with anticipation, but her instincts whispered caution, caution that she was desperate to ignore. One evening, after a particularly intoxicating encounter in a secluded jazz club, Damien leaned close, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You're beautiful, Clara. Dangerous in your way, but beautiful." The words should have sent a thrill, but instead they ignited a flicker of fear. Every touch reminded her of how easily desire could cloud judgment. She wanted to pull away, to reclaim control, yet the magnetic pull of Damien's presence made her powerless. Lust had wrapped itself around her heart, masquerading as love, and she could no longer distinguish between reality and the illusion she had embraced. Days blurred into nights, secrets piled upon secrets. Clara began to notice inconsistencies, small lies Damien couldn't hide, stories that didn't align, evasions that spoke louder than words. Each revelation, subtle as it was, felt like a shadow creeping over the flickering light of her passion. Still, she clung to the thrill, convincing herself that love often required risks, that passion demanded surrender. Then came the message. Not a letter, not a photograph, a text, short, sharp, and chilling. He is watching. Everything you think you know is a lie. Clara froze. The simple glow of her phone illuminated a terror she could not name. Damien, sitting across from her in the dim light of their favorite cafe, remained calm, almost eerily so, as if the words meant nothing to him. She wanted to confront him, demand answers, but fear rooted her in place. Fear of his response, fear of the truth, and fear of the emptiness she might face if this illusion of love crumbled. The days that followed were a labyrinth of tension and longing. Clara found herself torn between the irresistible lure of Damien and the gnawing certainty that lust had ensnared her in a dangerous game. Every glance from him carried a promise she desperately wanted to believe, and every whispered word hinted at secrets he would not disclose. Her closest friends began to notice her withdrawal. Invitations to events went unanswered, calls unanswered, messages ignored. They worried, but Clara could not bring herself to admit the depth of her entanglement. How could she explain falling for a man who thrived on shadows and secrecy, whose affection might be nothing more than a performance designed to ensnare her? One night, in the privacy of her apartment, Clara replayed the first photograph over and over, the words etched beneath it burning in her mind. Everything has a price. She realized with a growing sense of dread that the price might already be due. Her reputation, her peace of mind, perhaps even her safety. And yet, despite the fear, the memory of Damien's hands on hers, his lips near hers, the whispered promises in dark corners, all of it kept pulling her back, each moment of intimacy tightening the spell of illusion. It was during another clandestine meeting in a secluded part of the city's waterfront that Clara saw it. A shadowy figure, distant but unmistakably present, watching them. Her blood ran cold. Every instinct screamed danger, yet Damien remained unshaken, almost arrogant in his composure. He whispered, "Do you trust me?" The question cut deeper than the cold night air. Clara wanted to say yes, desperately, with every ounce of her being. But reality pressed in, and the line between lust and love became alarmingly clear. How much longer could she cling to an illusion before it destroyed her entirely? Before she realized she had been playing with fire she could not escape? That night, as the moon reflected on the water, Clara understood one thing. She was no longer just a participant in this story. She was trapped in it. The man she thought she loved had become both her desire and her danger, and the shadows they had hidden in were no longer safe. Every heartbeat whispered questions she dared not voice. Was Damien truly capable of love? Or was she merely a pawn in a game far older and darker than she could comprehend? If this story has captivated your heart so far, comment, "I feel her fear." Share this story with anyone who loves suspenseful, forbidden romances. Subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVc. Follow for more shocking tales of desire and betrayal, and turn on the notification bell. Because what happens next will test Clara's choices in ways she could never imagine. Clara's world began to fracture. The thrill she once felt in Damien's presence was now shadowed by a gnawing unease. Every smile, every brush of his hand was laced with uncertainty. She found herself scanning rooms, streets, and crowds for threats she could neither name nor fully understand. The photograph, the texts, the mysterious envelope, they were no longer distant warnings. They were the reality of the life she had allowed herself to step into. One late evening, Damien took her to a penthouse overlooking the city. The skyline glittered like spilled jewels, but Clara could not admire it. Her eyes were drawn to Damien, whose intense gaze seemed to pierce through her. "Do you know what makes love dangerous, Clara?" he asked softly, his tone almost hypnotic. She hesitated, her mind screaming a warning she could barely voice. "Tell me," she whispered, compelled by a mix of fear and desire. Love can become obsession. Desire can masquerade as affection. And sometimes you don't realize which is which until it's too late. The words chilled her, yet they were delivered with a tenderness that made her heart ache and pulse quicken simultaneously. Damien's arms wrapped around her, the contrast between danger and intimacy dizzying. She wanted to believe, to let herself melt into the warmth of his embrace, but the warning signs flickered like shadows at the edges of her mind. Days passed in a whirlwind of clandestine meetings, whispered confessions, and stolen moments that blurred day and night. Clara became increasingly aware that her life outside Damien was slipping away. Friends noticed her absence, colleagues commented on her distracted demeanor, yet she could not bring herself to pull away. The addiction to his presence, the intoxicating mix of fear and desire, had taken root too deeply. One morning, an unexpected visitor arrived, her cousin, Elise, who had always been skeptical of Clara's whirlwind lifestyle. "Clara, something is off," Elise said, scanning her cousin's apartment. "You're not yourself. I don't know what he's done, but I see the signs." Clara felt a pang of guilt and fear. She wanted to confide, to unburden herself, but Damien's presence lingered in her mind. The fear of losing him, the fear of confronting reality, silenced her. She forced a smile, though her hands trembled. "It's nothing, Elise. I'm fine, just busy." Elise didn't press further, but Clara knew the truth. She wasn't fine. She was caught in a web of desire and deception, and the threads were tightening. She started noticing patterns in Damien's behavior, subtle manipulations that suggested he enjoyed the control he wielded over her. The realization should have sparked outrage, but her heart, clouded by lust, still clung to the illusion that love justified the risk. Then came the call that changed everything. A low, measured voice on the line said only, "Meet me at the old canal bridge. Midnight. Alone." The line went dead before Clara could respond. Her instincts screamed danger, but curiosity, mingled with fear and desire, propelled her forward. The bridge loomed under the silver moonlight, abandoned except for the whispers of wind through the iron railings. Damien was already there, leaning casually against the railing, his expression unreadable. "You came," he said softly, almost amused. "Who was that? Who called me?" Clara demanded, her voice stronger than she felt. Damien's smile deepened, a mixture of affection and danger. "Someone who knows we've crossed a line, Clara. Someone who knows the truth about us." The revelation hit her like ice water. The illusion of secrecy, of control, had dissolved. They were exposed, or worse, being watched. Her pulse raced, and for the first time, Clara saw Damien not as a lover but as a figure whose intentions were entirely opaque, whose charm masked a potentially devastating reality. The wind rustled through the bridge, carrying whispers of a life she might never reclaim. She wanted to flee, to reclaim herself, but Damien's hand found hers, the heat of his touch both comforting and terrifying. "You can run," he said softly, "but what we have is bigger than fear. Don't you feel it?" Clara felt the pull of the storm inside her, torn between desire and caution. The tension in the air was unbearable, the city below oblivious to the private war unfolding on the bridge. Every instinct told her to leave, but every fiber of her being was drawn to him, and she couldn't resist. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed in the distance. Clara's heart jumped. Someone was coming, or perhaps they had been following her all along. Damien's gaze sharpened, alert, yet calm, as if he had anticipated this moment. "Stay close," he whispered, pulling her slightly behind him. A figure emerged from the shadows, tall, imposing, with an air of authority that immediately unsettled Clara. She didn't recognize him, and his presence alone was enough to make her stomach churn. Damien, however, remained unshaken, almost welcoming. "It's time you knew the truth," he said. The man stepped closer, and a chill ran down Clara's spine. This wasn't just a confrontation. It was a revelation. Secrets, lies, and the dangerous masquerade of lust as love were about to explode in ways she could not have anticipated. Every beat of her heart screamed danger, and yet she could not look away. If this story has gripped you so far, comment "Desire blinds the heart." Share this story with anyone who loves intense, forbidden romances. Subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVc. Follow for more emotional, shocking, and dark love stories, and turn on the notification bell, because what Clara learns next will force her to confront the true cost of lust masquerading as love. Clara's pulse thundered in her chest as the figure stepped fully into the moonlight. Recognition hit her like a physical blow. It was Damien's brother, Lucien, a man whose reputation in New Orleans' underworld preceded him, sharp, calculating, and unyielding. Clara's stomach churned. She had heard whispers, rumors she had brushed off as exaggeration, but now the shadows of truth were tangible, looming over her like a storm cloud ready to break. "Clara," Lucien began, his voice cold and deliberate, "you have been deceived. Damien's intentions are not what you think." Damien's hand tightened around hers, but there was a tension now, a subtle shift that Clara could feel deep in her bones. For the first time, the illusion fractured, revealing the dangerous reality beneath. "Do you trust me?" Damien asked, his voice quieter, almost vulnerable. But the charm that had drawn her in for weeks now felt like a weapon. Lucien's eyes bore into her, and for a fleeting moment, Clara understood the enormity of the situation. She had fallen not into love, but into a carefully orchestrated web of desire and manipulation. Every stolen kiss, every whispered promise, had been a thread in a tapestry of deception she had been too blinded by lust to see. The confrontation escalated quickly. Lucien demanded that Clara leave Damien immediately, that she remove herself from a man whose life was entangled in danger, betrayal, and secrets she could never comprehend. But Clara, despite the fear and trepidation clawing at her, hesitated. Damien's gaze locked onto hers, a mixture of longing, defiance, and unspoken pleading. Every part of her wanted to believe that what they shared was real, that love could exist even in shadows. Yet deep down, she knew the truth. Love does not demand fear. Love does not conceal itself behind danger. What she had felt was lust, masquerading as love, intoxicating and consuming, but hollow at its core. And now the cost of surrendering to desire revealed itself with a brutal clarity. The night stretched long, punctuated by silence, heavy breaths, and the distant sounds of the city unaware of the drama unfolding on that abandoned bridge. Clara realized that her future, her heart, and even her safety depended on a single choice: to continue down the path of desire and risk everything, or to break free and reclaim herself before it was too late. Damien stepped closer, his voice a low whisper that both tempted and terrified. "I can't let you go. You know that, Clara. Everything I feel, it's real." She shook her head, tears welling but determination rising. "No, Damien. What we have, it isn't love. It's lust, and it's dangerous. I can't let it destroy me." His expression shifted, a flash of desperation cutting through his charm. For the first time, Clara saw vulnerability in him, but also a dangerous edge. Desire had controlled their lives for weeks, and now it threatened to unravel completely. Every moment of passion, every stolen glance had led to this crossroads, a choice between illusion and reality. Clara stepped back, drawing strength from the fear that had once paralyzed her. She understood now that lust can feel like love, can seduce the heart, but it does not build a future. True love demands honesty, trust, and mutual respect. elements absent in her entanglement with Damien. She made her decision. "I have to leave," she said firmly. "I can't stay. I won't let lust masquerade as love any longer." Damien's face crumpled, the mask of confidence slipping to reveal raw, unguarded emotion. "Clara, please." But the resolve in her heart was unwavering. The illusion was over. She turned toward the darkened streets, every step heavy with the weight of lost passion, but lightened by the clarity of truth. She walked away from Damien, from danger, from a love that never truly existed, and toward herself, her freedom, her safety, and the chance to rebuild a life grounded in reality, not deception. As Clara disappeared into the misty streets of New Orleans, the wind whispered through the alleys, carrying the echoes of desire, heartbreak, and a lesson painfully learned. Lust masquerading as love can be intoxicating, thrilling, and all-consuming. But when the illusion fades, the cost is never small. Clara had paid a price in fear, longing, and heartbreak. Yet she emerged stronger, wiser, and awake to the dangers that passion can hide. For those watching, consider this. How often do we mistake lust for love in our own lives? How many times do we ignore warning signs, rationalize dangerous passions, or cling to illusions because they feel intoxicating? What would you do if confronted with a love that thrived on control, secrecy, and desire rather than truth? If this story has touched your heart, comment, "I choose truth over desire." Share this video with anyone who must hear its warning. Subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVc for more gripping tales. Follow for the most emotional and forbidden stories. And turn on the notification bell, because lessons about desire, deception, and heartbreak are never easy, but they are always necessary. This is Taboo Romance Stories TVc. Forbidden romance stories, told like never before. Stay with us for more gripping tales of passion, desire, and heartbreak that defy the rules of love and life.